All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is you too, is Pastor Dow. I want to talk to you this morning here briefly for a second about the shaking. Usually, when people first come to this particular ministry, whether you are a friend afar off, whether you are someone that's affiliated with the ministry, and you choose to fellowship with us, you come to services, feast days, and all like this, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Usually what happens is that people, they're excited when they first come because they hear the truth, they understand, and they know that there's definitely something different. And then after a while, what happens is that the enemy, he can't touch you in your mind when you're new to this thing because you're on fire. You're seeking the Father. You're discovering who you are as Israel. You're proactive when it comes to healing and deliverance, which you're not finding too much of that going on today anywhere. You do find a lot of people studying, trying to find righteousness in wearing garments, ceremonialism, something you can do with your hands. But things of the Spirit you can't manufacture with your hands. Either the Father is approved of you and you have it, or you don't. And so we're watching as time goes by. People are not familiar with this. And so we're watching a lot of people who don't have what you call enduring substance. We're watching the cares of this world and of this life and the lust of other things. And we're watching just simply people getting tired. Watch this and listen to this. And frustrated because of the way. It happened to Israel in the wilderness. It happened many, many times before throughout history, and I'm sure it's going to continue to keep happening. What I've learned is that there's a lot of people that's just sincerely not serious-minded enough. And so the devil will begin to press your mind, and he will begin to have you become critical towards others, critical towards the walk that you're in. And of course, everything is always gendered to going back. You remember what the word says. If any man put his hand to the plow and he looks back, he's not fit for the kingdom of Yah. And of course, he will have you in your mind to justify your move back, because to stay around people who are anointed, to stay around people who are living this sacrifice life, and we're driving on because Pastor Dow's not looking to the left, nor am I looking to the right. I've been doing this thing well over 20 years, and I'm going to continue to keep doing it. But the enemy is seeking to wear out the patience of the saints. So if he can get you to break the commandments by giving you a nice high-paying job, he'll do it. If he can have you to go out and seek teachers that are not teaching what we're teaching, even though it's already in the book. Israel were a shepherd people. We were basically what you would call farmers. We took care of ourselves. We raised cattle. Remember what it says over in Bad of Sheep, or Genesis. Every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians. And so when you start getting out of here, realizing, because it takes a lot to establish yourself in this life, and it takes years to get it done too, but the rewards of it, when you're obeying the Father, is great. Civilization starts to look real good. Air conditioning looks real good. Running water looks real good. All the conveniences of the life looks very, 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 very good. But when you have to work, and I do mean work, with the labor of your hands. You have to literally get out there and hit it every day. All you have to do is go back and look at my videos. I'm almost 50 years old. And I work very hard, because I have a vision. Because without that vision, people will perish. And everything, and consider not that whatever I'm doing, I'm not laboring for myself. See, I just don't have just me, my little old family, us by ourselves. Everything I do is for the people of Israel. Do I get to benefit from the labors of my hands? I should. Because if you're working harder than I am, then show me. There was that old state in Missouri, show me state. But you're going to have people of alternate conscience, alternate mindsets and stuff, and they're just, people are going to use, and that's when Satan enter in. He's going to either use some form of religion. That's why I tell you, don't eat off other tables, because what your flesh is going to do is it's going to go out there and hear something that you already believe in your heart that you think is right. And these people are going to begin to speak to you, but then you're going to throw away all the other things that you have learned. When we look at the gospel, it's mostly, all of it is about salvation, healing, and deliverance. Can you find ministries out there that are more polished than I am concerning speech? All day long you can. You can do that in Christianity and in the Messianics. You can do that with them all day long. But you're not going to find nobody more serious minded than I am. That's the truth. We are a well-balanced ministry. And I don't mind telling you, again, I got all these people out there, and well over 3/4 of them I've never met before, nor have they stepped foot on his land, yet they have chosen to be my enemies. And the key is this: you need to start peering into people's life. You need to really start, if you're going to be critical of me while you're listening to me, and that's your prerogative, you can do it. You're an American, you live in this so-called free country. You need to equally do that with others before you make a rash decision. Now, am I trying to keep anyone? No, I didn't. The Father's the one that you say brought you here. And I can't see the Father, bring you to a place that didn't tell you to move on unless you are some divine prophet or something like that. Of course, you could be. Anybody could be. But I would tell you this, is that endurance and doing it to the end, that's the one's going to be saved. Again, I want to put this emphasis out there for everyone. The enemy is going, when you are offended, the enemy is going to find some way to get you to agree with some small thing in order to break fellowship and cause disunity. To get you to go back to the way of your former thinking, because I'll be the first to tell you, it is a whole lot easier to live out here in this world, in this life, than to live with Israelites. It really, I'll be the first to tell you. But then again, there's no greater joy than brethren dwelling together in unity. There's nowhere in the book. It teaches us. I don't care if you read the Old Testament or the New Testament, to come out. It just simply just teaches you to come out. It teaches us that we are a separate people. That's what it teaches. And you notice this stuff is not taught today because the conveniences of life make it real easy to justify your position. Our life is a life about sacrifice. It really truly is. And so, Pastor Dow, I'll hear what someone have to say, but I don't too much pay attention to them unless they're making an attempt to live this set-apart life. And I say live it. Now, are people preparing themselves? Are they getting ready? Are they storing up? Sure they are. And you should, and you need to. The best advice I can give you, especially when we see all the economic uncertainty. I just heard another 6 Walmart stores done shut down. And it wasn't 600, it was 6,000 retail stores are projected to close their doors in the next 2.5 years. Our Congress have sold themselves like a bunch of whores to the highest bidder. You don't have a country that you have representation or someone that's going to represent you up in the outhouse. You just don't. You're going to start learning how to build a rapport around those who, listen to me very closely, who are serious-minded and trustworthy. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's very, very few people. A friend will always challenge those who say that they are friends. And in order for you to have friends, you have first got to show yourself friendly. In other words, you're going to have to be friendly. You're going to have to work at being friendly, because you cannot have any friends at all until you are friendly first. Most of us, we rather sit back and say they, point fingers, they, while we do nothing. And like I said, let me go back to the preaching here for a second. There are a lot of people who are less offensive in speech. When you go read the writings of Paul, Paul didn't say that. They thought he was rude in speech. And they'll create a more environment more conducive for you, because that's where your spirituality is right now. But you should be paying attention to the substance of the intent of the word, because that's what the Father does with us. He judges us by the thought and the intent of our words. And everybody out there that speaks eloquently and speaks soundly, and their intent is not always good. For instance, if I had a community, I'm talking about just a community here, to where women were not wearing head coverings, all of them had makeup on, men wearing shorts and tank tops. Do you know how many people would love to become part of Straightway Truth, but simply because we are one that genders to holiness, that's a stumbling block for many. It sure is, because they think that they are being restricted. Well, all you have to do is go get clear in the word. In anything that you believe, you must get clear in what the word says. It's the word, remember? Well, I don't see it your way, Pastor Dow. Then you just go on down the line and live at peace and be at peace. And let peace rule in your heart. Because after all, you've got one life to live. And I hope, just like with myself, I hope that you're doing it right and you're getting it right. Because a lot of people can be sincere, and they are, but a lot of people are sincerely wrong. I am a student, a literal student of the scripture. And there are things that I'm discovering in the word and the scripture that this generation cannot accept. Now, they can accept the perversity and the depravity and the spiritual bankruptcy of this particular country. But when it comes to righteousness and holiness and truth and set apart, they can't. We have a beautiful place. We really, truly do. And it's a blueprint that you can have for with yourself and a couple of those that are mutually assistant. But you're going to find out that the words of Jesus is true. A man's own foes are going to be there of your own household. I deal with the question all the time, about these disgruntled parents who put up Christmas trees, worship pagan gods, Christmas, Easter, Sunday, have no resemblance of holiness whatsoever at all, and don't care. They always fancy themselves as judging those of us who've been where they are. And it's utterly amazing. And they become critical of us. And that's fine. You can become critical of us. That doesn't mean that your judgment is going to mean anything to us at all. So there are a lot of people today that just simply, they love the world. And you need to get that. So as we watch the moral decay, the spiritual bankruptcy, and the system declining, because this system that y'all trusting in, the ground beneath your feet is getting ready to give way. The best advice I can give you is, while changing thoughts here, you're going to need people, period. And you need to really, truly work at building a rapport with those who you can trust. A lot of times you can't trust people simply because you have not looked at your own heart. I'm a man of many hats. And the one thing I'm learning as I go is, because, see, my heart, it wants to do everything. And a lot of times I still have a problem with speaking and committing, saying I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I keep overloading myself. And it's never my intent to not do, but then I have things I have to prioritize that end up getting in the way. And so if you are just an individual, all you have is just your little circle, your little sphere. Your circle is not as big as mine. You don't have as many people that you're responsible for, or people that are looking to you, or people that are vying for your time. And so there's a lot of obligations that I have to put off. There's a lot of things that I simply can't meet. And then many people get offended at me because of that. And so I'm learning as I go, and I got a lot of digressions here, but I'm trying to talk to not only just you as individuals, but those that are leaders out there. I'm learning as I go to simply just not say nothing, because this generation is not paying attention to what is the intent. Most people, they don't look into it. Most people are selfish. They only care about themselves, and they're not really truly looking and peering into the lives of others. Community heads have a lot on them. A lot on them. A real true pastor has a lot on them. And most people not, it's all about them. It's all about them. And what you can do for me while they do nothing for you. What you can do for me while they sacrifice nothing. It's just utterly amazing. I see it all the time, but I'm learning not to speak or commit to a lot of things at all, period, because I simply just don't have the amount of people that are as committed as I am. I have a lot of brothers and sisters. Well, let me say it. I have a few brothers and sisters who, man, I love them dearly because they get it, they understand it. Those who support the ministry, those are the ones who really, truly get it. They really get it. I mean, they really get it. There's that old saying, go even out there in the political world, you can tell what party you really truly love by the amount of money you donate. If your heart is in charity, what do? You donate money. Why is it we can give money to all these other things, but then we turn around and give money to a man of God, all of a sudden we got all these negative things to say. He's fleecing the people. He's doing this. He's taking their money. I'm not taking nothing nobody's not giving me. And everything we've ever got in this world, it was given to us. While I worked for it, people still gave you a paycheck. Still gave it to you. You're still dependent on them to be just, true, and holy and righteous in the duties that you perform to be paid for. There's a lot of things to be desired. There's a lot of this that must be changed. I submit to you that the reason why that our world is literally going insane is because we've threw the Bible and the Hebraic way totally out of our conscience. The lesbian, the gay, the bisexual, and the transgender movement is taking over the country. You do well to homeschool your children if you can, because now they're talking about forced vaccines. And I told you, you go to the Amish community, not one of them have a known case of autism. They got poison in them vaccines, and now they're talking about forced inoculation. That means they're going to take the whole population and make sure that everybody get vaccinated because they want a drooling, dumbed down, mind numb, stupid society because it's easy to rule those kind of people. And the powers that be know one way they can rule a population that is out of control is through food. You need to start being able to see afar off rather than just what's in your mind in front of you and trying to make sense of something and things you can't make sense of. This thing is straight and it is narrow. And there are only going to be a few that will find it. You do well to follow my advice and take heed to it. You're going to have a time of sacrifice, but you're going to thank me later. There's many people out there that have heard me. Get out of debt. I tell you right now, ask them if they're glad that they follow my advice about getting out of debt, because after all, the borrower is a servant to a lender, isn't it? That's what the book says. The borrower is a slave to the lender. And they thank the Father that they have paid attention to my words. Now the system is being motivated by going after its citizens because the federal government can't produce anything it can only take. And they're doing everything they can to take from you. You know, you need to do a careful evaluation of people you can trust. You really, truly do. You really, really, truly do. Because when calamity, destruction, and fear come up on you, simply a lot of people just ain't going to be there. It's going to be every man for themselves because that's how the cardinal mind thinks. Wow. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I guess I'm just rambling. What do I call this? Rumble. Royal Rumble, I guess I could call it. You have to follow my advice concerning health. You must do it. Many of you are dying by the spoon. Choices and decisions you make. You have to work at keeping a marriage together, work at keeping a friendship together. There's nothing wrong with a brother if he trespass against you, rebuking him. Why is it that we got this flight nature and this flight state in everything we do in life? As soon as something cross our path, go the wrong way, especially if it's in what you call the religious front, we kick traces. Acting like a bunch of vagabonds. I guess it's just the way, but hey, and until you change this, and that can only be transformed and changed by the renewing of your mind according to what their word says. And until you do that and become active in doing it, you're going to stay blinded. But I hope that you spiritually are positioning yourself and you're very sincere in heart and pure in heart about what you're doing, because what's coming, there's going to be a literal weep and a howl that go all throughout this land. Enjoy the city while you can, but you better be preparing a place somewhere that you can run to and go to, because it's going to get ugly. Well, do I advise you to stay in there? No. I could not be the serious man of Yah that I am today if I stayed in organized religion and if I lived in that city. It's just too much distractions, just way too many distractions. Too many things that's vying for your mind. And even on this internet, the information highway, everything is there at your fingertips. You better be careful of who you listen to and what you consider. You are charged according to the word to know them that labor among you. But the first person you need to know is yourself. Are you holy? Are you just? Are you true? Are you dependable? Rather than putting the finger to everybody else, do you meet the conditions of what the word says? When it's all said and done, none of us can do this thing alone. And that's the truth. And that's the truth straight way.